Following the Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby trades, a lot of eyes are pointed towards a lot of the Toronto Raptors veterans that are still left on this roster to see how they'd react to the team moving in a younger direction, as well as whether or not they'll get moved themselves. Well, Jakob Poeltl has spoken out on specifically the Pascal Siakam trade to let us know his mindset about his potential future with the Toronto Raptors. So we'll break that down, including an update regarding Immanuel Quickley and an injury he sustained and why it sort of has affected his play as of late. So lots of stuff to break down. Before we dive into that, folks, again, over 57% of our viewers are not subscribed to the channel, so it would mean the world to me if you guys could hit that subscribe button. You guys have been crushing it, hitting that sub button. We're very close to 33,000 subscribers now at this point, so it would mean the world to me if you guys could hit that sub button. But let's dive into the first topic of discussion. The first thing we're taking a look at is Jakob Poeltl speaking out on the Pascal Siakam trade. Now, we all know Pascal Siakam got dealt Yakin's skills, the dynamic duo, one of the most heartbreaking parts of the DeMar DeRozan trade. Probably not the most, because DeMar obviously leaving was the, main heartbreaker for Toronto Raptors fans. But the mild heartbreaking part of that trade was breaking up the young and budding bromance of Pascal Siakam and Jakob Poeltl. Well, they got reunited last trade deadline. Everyone was hyped, to see that duo paired back together. And then the tables have turned, and now Jakob Poeltl's a Toronto Raptor and locked in under a long-term contract, and it was Pascal Siakam that was traded away from the team. The bromance was broken again. Well, Jakob Poeltl was asked about the trade and everything that went down. He had some interesting things to say, given the fact he just signed a contract with the Toronto Raptors, and this summer discussed how he wants to play for a winning team. So, Jakob Poeltl said this, that it was tough because he was the guy I was closest to on this team. I guess I was mentally prepared for it a little bit already because there were so many rumors, but still really sad for me to basically lose my best friend on the team. So, again, this makes sense. Completely makes sense from Jakob Poeltl, given the fact they were tight. We didn't see as much of the bromance that was promoted during his first stint with the Toronto Raptors, but still a tough thing to see. But the more juicy, the more interesting stuff came from the second quote, again, coming from Josh Lewenberg, basically saying, who summarized the quote about Jakob Poeltl. He said, not necessarily, in regards to his future of the Toronto Raptors, how does he expect? The one thing that was important to me is that I was on a team that could play competitive basketball. As long as it's not a team that was really actively trying to tank, I guess, was the thing for me. I want to play on a team that there's trying to win every single night. So for me, even though we had some changes and we lost some really good players, I think we're still on a course where we're trying to build around this team right now, and we're not hunting for a number 1 overall draft pick. You know what I mean? So as long as that's the case, I think I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to be contributing to this Raptors team. This is a new project we are starting. So, interesting comments there from Jakob Poeltl. Obviously, again, this was his sentiment this summer. Now, it was more so worded as he wants to be on a winning team, winning basketball, and that had some Raptors fans' eyes a little bit turned, given the fact the Raptors were a very mid-level team last season, even with Jakob Poeltl, and then we lost Fred VanVleet, but he did re-sign to a long-term contract. I mean, Jakob Poeltl's a guy that's locked in now for the next till 2027 at $20 million per year, $19.5 million. So, he's only 27 years old, or 28 years old, sorry, and he's about to enter the prime of his career right now at this point in terms of age generally across the NBA. Again, hasn't improved his free throw shooting much over the course of his career, but is really effective around the rim, plays a lot of defense, and things along those lines, averaging 11 points and 8 rebounds per game. But the tanking aspect is the one thing that might be a little bit concerning, given the fact the Toronto Raptors, I broke down in a video this morning about Darko Rajovic talking about how development is the main focus for the rest of this season. And again, the trade deadline's in 2 weeks, and the Raptors have lost some brutal games, and they haven't really actively made moves to sort of improve their roster heading into the end of this year. I made the point that, Jakob Poeltl being injured really hurts the front court on this team, and the games that we've been losing, and we've been losing them by significant margins, even though RJ Barrett has been remarkable, Scotty Barnes has been ridiculous. Quickley has kind of cooled off in recent games, but we'll break down at least one reason as to why. Another reason is because Jakob Poeltl's been out, and he's not getting a lot of screens set for him to open up his shots, have a target, and diving at the rim, because when there's a passing threat in there, then you can finish around the basket as well, much better as a smaller guard. But basically, the Raptors without a big seem like a team that's currently on the tank. And with the quotes coming out about the focus on development, with Bruce Brown potentially getting dealt, all the veterans on this team, except for Jakob Poeltl being named in a bunch of trade rumors, I feel like the Raptors, at least for this year, for the next 3 months, I am not shocked. I am predicting, I am expecting a full-out tank from this team. I'm just expecting it. I think with Jakob Poeltl's injury, it sort of facilitates that a little bit more. They eased him back into play. They don't rush him back and maybe keep him out a little bit longer than he necessarily would have been if the Raptors are super competitive. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the approach. That's been my theory. That's been my take on things. Now, does that make Jakob Poeltl sort of want to leave immediately? Get out of this roster, get out of this tanking group. I don't know, but that's sort of the sentiment that he's echoed here now at this point. And if that's the case, and he wants to be back, because frankly, I am of the belief that this team won't be great, won't be like a playoff team that should be feared in the Eastern Conference, even though we can look scary on any given night. With Jakob Poeltl back in the lineup, we are not a tanking team. We are not a team that's going to end up having high odds in keeping its draft pick in this year's draft class. So Masai Ujiri said in his press conference at the trade deadline that he sees no reason to tank out this season. He sees no reason to sort of bottom out, even though that might be the case. Raptors fans should be patient with this group. He doesn't want to tank. That's it, was his words. These are the words from Jakob Poeltl, and it just seems like, especially with this injury, it could be the recipe for a very mid-level season, maybe the worst case scenario. Again, maybe you could look at the bright side and say, hey, next year's draft is better, so we'd rather have that pick than the Spurs, but I don't want multiple years of tanking. I want to have all the picks in this year, find a few snipes, find some diamonds in the rough in this sort of regarded as garbage draft class, and figure it out next year. Not even be in the hunt for one of these bottom lottery spots next season. But that might be optimistic. That might be a, Homer me thinking RJ Barrett quickly. Scotty can turn this thing around quickly. Again, I believe in Jakob Poeltl as a center of this team for the future. Please improve your free throws, Yak. But beyond that, you're a pretty solid piece of this group. And if he is going to get frustrated with the tank, then don't be surprised if Masai Ujiri is even more cutthroat and starts stealing away vets. But there's been no reports about that. That's just entirely, that last part about that is speculation. So let me know what you guys think about all that. The next thing we're diving into in this video is Immanuel Quickley injury update. So Immanuel Quickley will be out, or is expected to be out for tomorrow's game against the LA Clippers. And this is kind of an indication why he seems to be a little bit slower in recent games. But basically, Bloomberg came out and revealed that he did not participate in practice today. And Immanuel Quickley has a right thigh contusion, sustained an injury versus Memphis earlier this week, and has been sore for the last few days. He's expected to miss tomorrow's game versus the Clippers, but will travel with the team on their upcoming 6-game road trip. He is day-to-day for now. So nothing serious here now at this point, but the more reason I'm diving into this because, especially, we're overreactionary to our younger prospects now at this point, and he's been putting in 12, and 8 points per game over the last few games. Again, solid assist numbers. Really, the only rough game was against Chicago for Immanuel Quickley. The rest of them haven't been great, but they haven't been horrible by any means. But we're expecting a lot, given the fact we traded OG Anunoby and obviously Pascal in a subsequent deal. But a lot's on RJ Barrett and Immanuel Quickley on this team. So some people have been like, oh, Immanuel Quickley, is he really that guy? Someone we should rely upon given 3 games. Again, he's dealing with a right thigh contusion. Jakob Poeltl's out. He doesn't have a center target, which makes things a lot tougher on smaller guards to sort of get their games going. So not concerned about Immanuel Quickley whatsoever. Hoping he recovers quick from this right thigh contusion, and then he's back in the lineup, because regardless if we're winning, losing, tanking, going for a chip, we want our young guys healthy to get some reps, get some practice, get some development that Darko Rajakovic has sort of been talking about as of late. So let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section down below. You guys have best to make it this far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.